being obedient unto his Torah, being obedient unto his commands. And we know that it's in him that we live, move, and we have our being. And without him, we can do nothing. And so we were Baruch on today to have Koti, Belinda, go down in the living water in the name of Yahusha, hallelujah, with the commitment in mind to hear the voice of Yahuwah, to obey the voice of Yahuwah by keeping his statutes and his commands, and being under the blood of Yahusha, his life that he had given, the blood that he shed. That is the new covenant. When he had the Last Supper, he told them, "This is the blood of the covenant that I give for you to put sin in remission." So we say Todah Rabbah for his glorious grace, his marvelous mercy, and his just genuine compassion that he has for us. As we move closer to the return of our Messiah, we have to understand that we're in a time of fulfillment, the time of prophecy fulfillment. It is truly prophetic what is going on today. It seems like everything that, and we should believe it, everything that is written in the Torah is coming to pass. Everything that's written by the prophets is coming to pass. Now, the prophets spoke in such a way that it takes the Ruach to open up your understanding of what the prophets are saying, because they speak in a parabolic chamber, which a lot of times it's mysterious, and you have to do your research, and just like Daniel had the vision of that beast, and we find out that the four kingdoms, what nations it was dealing with, and also once you learn history and you follow the children of Yasharel, that first king was Babylon, and the children of Yasharel, the southern kingdom, was in captivity to Babylon. And then you had the next kingdom that rose up, that's a part of that beast, was the Medes, Persians. And the children of Israel were in captivity to the Medes and Persians. And you have the next one that came up, which was the Greco Empire, the Greeks, and the children of Israel were in captivity to the Greeks, to the point where they were called Hellenists. Hellenist means that you were not Greek born, but you were conquered or captured or went into captivity by the Greeks, and you took on their culture. You had to learn their language. You had to learn their theophanies, the study of their gods. You had to learn their culture, their society, their philosophers. And when you took on their language and their culture, you were called Hellenists. You were called a Hellenist. And so then after that, you had the Roman Empire that ruled. But we understand this by looking back and seeing these empires. And because at the time that Daniel even saw it, he didn't realize what he saw, or even what he was going to, or what was going to transpire. Because at the time of Daniel, it was the Babylonian Empire, which was Nebuchadnezzar. And so he showed things to Daniel that was way out in the future, but to us, it's way in the past. And so what he was showing Daniel was future events, but where we are today, those are past events. But there's a lot of things that was said in the prophecy, in the prophets, that points to this day and this time, when we see some things that's happening with Yasharel. Now, I was taught that Israel is the prophetic time clock of Yahuwah, or back in the day, we would say they were the prophetic time clock of God. They were the prophetic time clock of the Lord, and that's how we would address our Most High Power. In the book of Daniel, throughout the book of Daniel, he always calls them the Most High, and he refers to us as the saints of the Most High. That's how Daniel, if anybody has read the book of Daniel and read the 12 chapters, and actually he wrote more than those 12, but that's just what they've given us, because the custodians of this book has determined the number of books that we should read, and then the quantity of the books that we should read, because Daniel wrote more than those 12 chapters. And there's other writings of prophets that we do not have in what is called canon by the Roman Catholic Church, which does not have the spirit of Yahuwah. The Roman Catholic Church does not have the Ruach HaKodesh. These are men of are heathens that were philosophers. They were polytheistic. One thing about Yasharel, and throughout their journeys where they've gone and throughout the world, one thing about Yasharel, it should be deeply seated in you, is Yahuwah our Elohah, or like it says in the King James, the Lord our God is one Lord. And so Yasharel was a monotheistic nation. They were a monotheistic people. They didn't believe in multiple Elohims. Not that there wasn't multiple Elohims, because there was. They just didn't believe in them. They only believed in one, and it was forbidden by our Elohah, the Most High Yahuwah, and you know, when we say Most High in the ancient Hebrew, you can call him El Elyon, which means El Elyon is the highest you can go. You can't get any higher than El Elyon, and so they would say El Elyon. We would say the Most High. So when you read Daniel and he says the Most High in Hebrew, he's saying El Elyon, because you can't get any higher than our Yahuwah. And we only believed in one, but other nations believed in multiple Elohims. That was not uncommon for them. It was not uncommon for the Greeks. It was not uncommon for the Romans to believe. And where did the Greeks learn their theology from? The Greeks learned their theology from Egypt. They went down into Egypt, and that's where they learned of the Egyptian Elohims, because the Egyptians had a lot of Elohims, and they learned of the Egypt Elohims, and then they just changed the names. They would just change the names, but they learned, that's where they got their theology from. That's where they got their philosophy from. That's where they got their standard of living from, was down in Egypt. But anyway, there's many things that's spoken in the Torah that you have to reflect to the past to get an understanding. And then there's things that when you glean in Torah, you look toward the future. And then there's things in Torah where you actually can see this is the present day. This is the present day. And there was things that's going on even in our present day today, to where there's enough wisdom and knowledge that we should have to where we can look back, we can see the present, we can look forward. We should be able to do that with Torah, because this book was written, some of it was written in the Greek and stuff going back to the 2nd century, 3rd century. That's when I say 2nd century, 3rd century, that's 200 AD. First century is from the time of our Messiah to 100 AD. Second century is 101 to 200 AD. That's the second century. So a lot of the Greek writings that we have, the Masoretic text, comes out of the second century. Some of the writings we have comes out of the third century. Who knows of a first century historian or writer that we can go to and look at some of his writings and glean from that? Anybody know? Huh? Yahukanan? The first century. There's somebody that is very well known in the first century that was a historian, Jewish antiquities. Josephus. Josephus was a first century historian writer that we can look at some of his writings because he was a historian for the nation of Yasharel. Now, when we talk about Yahukanan, or they call him John, we talk about him and Matthew and you have to understand that these, especially Yahukanan, was not a Greek scholar. So Koine Greek was not a language that Yahukanan actually that he wasn't he didn't write in Koine Greek. He was a fisherman. He was not a scholar. And it's in the book of Acts. In the book of Acts, I think it's the fourth chapter where it talks about how these men were ignorant and unlearned. It says that in, I want to get that real quick. It says they were ignorant and unlearned. It's in Acts. Oh, it escapes me right now. Huh? 4:13. I was in the 4:13. Okay. That's it. Now, when they saw the boat, this is Kepha and Yahukanan. And the reason why they're classified as ignorant and unlearned is because they were fishermen. They were not the scholars that sat at the feet of Gamaliel. Who sat at the feet of Gamaliel and was a scholar? Huh? Shaul, Paul, right? Shaul. He sat at the feet of Gamaliel. He was a scholar. Shaul could speak multiple languages. He understood theology and all these other gods and everything. So, of these other nations. But as far as Yahukanan and Kepha, it says that they were unlearned and ignorant men. They marveled and they took knowledge of them that they had been with Yahusha. So when you look at the writings of Kepha and Yahukanan, and they say it's written in Koine Greek, it should give you a little pause. You should take a little pause and understand that, well, that wasn't written by them. A lot of times what we have is you have oral history or things that were passed down, because remember, Yahusha told them that the Ruach was going to give you remembrance. Remember, he said, through the Ruach, you're going to remember all these things through the Ruach. So they would talk to these men, and it was handed down, but the actual writing of it, where you actually have pen to paper, doesn't come out till like the second or third century. So we have to take that into consideration when we're studying the word. So they were not educated in Koine Greek. So just something to throw out there, because I believe we should be people of knowledge. It even says here, and they took knowledge of them that they had been with Yahusha, just because of the way they spoke, how they spoke. Oh, you must have been with Yahusha because you ain't speaking like us. And there was a time where the people told Shaul, speak to us in Hebrew. We'll listen to you. If you're going to speak Greek, we ain't going to listen to you. Because many of them couldn't understand Greek. So he had to speak in Hebrew, which is the inspired language. So, and I think that's in Acts 22:1. Men and brethren and fathers, hear ye my defense, which I make now unto you. And when they heard that he spake in the Hebrew tongue to them, they kept the more silence. All right? So he had to speak in their language, not the Koine Greek. So, from my study, when I get into study and I consider all these things and I bring them into my study, because I want to have a better understanding of what is going on and everything. Now, the other day, we read in Acts chapter 5, and I think it's verse number 28, 29 is actually what I want. So I'm going to start with verse 26, Acts 5:26. Then went the captain with the officers and brought them without violence, for they feared the people, lest they should have been stoned. Now, if you read this and go up further, you'll find out that the Sadducees, those in the Sanhedrin who were Sadducees, what separated the Sadducees from the Pharisees is the Pharisees believed in the resurrection. The Sadducees did not believe in the resurrection. So when the disciples were, early up in this chapter, the very shadow of Kepha was healing people. And didn't Yahusha say, greater works than I shall you do? So even their shadow. And then Shaul had a handkerchief that he prayed over the handkerchief, and then he sent the handkerchief. So because he says greater works, what you see me do, you're going to do greater works than this. And so that was documented in the book of Acts, some of the greater works that the apostles, the disciples that walked with them did. And so they were going around healing everybody. And so the Sadducees got upset with them and said, hey, you guys got to stop this, because the disciples was showing power in the name of Yahusha, where the Sadducees and the Pharisees were not, mainly because they didn't even believe in him. Because unless you believe in him, you have no power. Your power comes through your faith that you have in him. If you don't have no faith in him, if you don't have no faith in his name, if you don't have no faith in him, you have no power. Because what empowers the name Yahusha and what empowers the name Jesus, and we used to say Jesus all the time, we find out what his Hebrew name is, but what gives that power is your faith and your belief in it. That's what gives its power. Like Parker, when we almost had that accident, it's what just popped out, because what was in him came out. The faith and the belief that he has in that gives him power. The immersion we had today, the faith and the belief that I have in Yahusha, the name Yahusha, there's power behind it. Now, if you don't believe it, it has no power. Well, I don't believe in the name Yahusha, you have to use it. Well, then it has no power to you. And you can say the same thing about Jesus. Well, if you don't believe in that name, you ain't got no power. And the way they use that name now, I mean, everybody uses that name. It's even a part of what you would call profanity, right? Because they would almost use it like in a profane way. But you can't do that with Yahusha's name now. Don't do that with Yahusha's name, But even with Yahusha, what gives it power is your faith and that you believe that you have in it. Okay, verse number 27. And when they had brought them, they set them before the council, and the high priest asked them, saying, now these Sadducees arrested these men and put them in prison. These were Sadducees, a part of the Sanhedrin. This was a high priest. So the high priest had some power to put you in prison. So what is supposed to be what the what do you call the forefathers of this country that built the Constitution and everything, one of the crowning things that they said in that is that we're supposed to separate what? We're supposed to separate church from state, you know. That's what, so you can't bring your religion into the governance of this people. Because back then, the high priest had these folks arrested. And can you imagine if you don't agree with my religion, I'm going to put you in jail and either you rot there or we'll give you capital punishment if it's okay with Rome, but they could actually put you in prison. So if we were in the States here, as we are, and we don't agree with their state religion, if we're not careful, we'll be imprisoned. And when we're supposed to practice separation of church and state, everybody that takes the oath of office, what do? They put their right hand where? Well, wait a minute. I thought we were supposed to separate church from state. I mean, it's as soon as you take the oath of office, you're injecting religion into it because you put your hand on the Bible, because they know how powerful our word is. Our word comes with power. It does come with power. Whether you believe it or not, you're going to witness it in a few days. Verse 28 saying, did not we straitly command you that ye should not teach in this name? And behold, ye have filled Jerusalem with your doctrine and intend to bring this man's blood upon us. People take offense to his name. There's power in his name. And the life comes with his name. And the life is the blood. Then Kepha and other apostles answered and said, we ought to obey Yahuwah rather than men. And everybody that's here and in the sound of my voice should be your testimony. And you're going to have to answer for this. Do you obey Yahuwah or do you obey men? And it's not that they didn't obey, because when they were arrested, they went to prison. They got out because the angel came over there, unlocked the door, and got them out. But it says that we have to obey Yahuwah rather than men, which saying, if you tell me to stop, I'm not going to listen to you. I'm going to listen to Yahuwah, because they were given a commission. They were given a commission, just like we are given a commission. All of us should have a commission, and you should have a command on your life. Now, my book teaches me separation from the world. And if you hear his voice and you are commissioned by him, then your lifestyle will reflect whether you're obeying him or whether you're obeying man. And we would be much better in our community, in our neighborhood, in our streets, in our families. We would be much better if we obeyed Yahuwah and not man, especially the wickedness that is ruling this present country. We tend to, Yasharel community as a whole, as a community, as a people, would rather be like the world than to be what Yahuwah has commanded them to be. It's sad, but you can see it, and it's reflected in a lot of our lives. We want to be like our adversary. That's, when you think about it at face value, that's awful strange. Your adversary who is like a roaring lion walking about seeking whom he may devour. Your adversary who knows what his end is going to be. He knows where his destination. He knows. He knew it well before any of us came around. I mean, when he got kicked out of Shamaim, I mean, he knew what his final destination is going to be. And he wants to take you with him. And you know that, but then you want to be like him. Which, when you think about it, at face value, that makes no sense whatsoever. I mean, absolutely makes no sense. I know what your destination is, and I know you want to take me with you, so I want to be like you. That doesn't make no sense. I mean, when that reasoning, you think somebody they got to be psychotic. With that, just at face value, with that reasoning. I mean, because it says our enemy, our adversary, he's like a roaring lion. He's walking about. He's seeking whom he may devour. I'm trying to see who I can overcome. Oh, I can get this one. Want to be like me? Oh, this is an easy one. This is an easy one. He wants to be like me. She want to be like me. That one's easy. I want to try to find those who don't want to be like me. That's the challenge. So I'm going to knock on them. I'm going to hit on them. I'm going to tempt them. I'm coming after them because that's a challenge for me. And see, a lot of us, we don't even put up a fight. It's a shame. You don't even put up a fight. At least fight. Oh, man, I lost that battle, but at least I fought. Instead of just giving over to the will and desires of the flesh. And you know that in this flesh is the law of sin. We know that, right? In this flesh is the law of sin. And so whatever the flesh wants, well, I'm just going to give it to him. But you ain't going to fight. You're not going to at least attempt to win a battle. And that's how we have to look at it sometimes. Because he comes by to devour us, and you might win that battle, and he might give you a little reprieve, but he's coming back. He's going to come back at you. Because one thing that he wants in Revelations 12 and Revelations 12. One thing that the serpent wants is that who? That who? That woman. He wants that woman. And I know it says woman in the text here, but that woman is referring to who? Yasharel. The woman is referred to Yasharel. He wants those Yasharelites. That is a great prize to him. Because Yasharel belongs to who? Yahuwah. And it was Yasharel that gave birth to the Messiah. The king who's going to rule the world. All nations are going to come unto him. Which means all these nations that he had thought he conquered, their descendants eventually are going to come unto our Messiah. Yes. Uh-huh. In prophecy, if you're looking at it prophetically, because when you look at the Torah, you look at the word, there's like 4 different meanings that you can get from the word. You look at the literal meaning of it, then you can look at the prophetic meaning, and then you can look at, there was 4 different levels to the word of Yahuwah. It's just not one. You can't take everything literally. So there is a literal, practical meaning. Yes, there is. But then there's a spiritual meaning. Then there's a prophetic meaning of it. And the propheticness of that, Genesis 3:15, is dealing with Yasharel and how he's putting enmity, or it's adversarial to Satan and the seed of the woman. That's adversarial. And the woman's seed was Yahusha. The woman, yeah, I mean, yeah, yeah. But the woman brings forth. The male plants the seed, but then it's the woman that brings forth. And so what she brought forth is what's an enemy and an adversary to Satan. Because when you look at Genesis 3:15, then you look at this, right? Let's read verse 12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. For Satan, the devil, is come down unto you, having great wrath. Now, why do you think he's got great wrath? Because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. He's got a short time. And see, he was put out of the Shamayim. And on his belly shall he go, which means he can't get back up to the Shamayim. Can't get back up to the Shamayim. On his belly shall he. So the earth, everywhere that's around the earth, that's why he's all over the earth. He's the prince of the power of the air. The earth is beneath the Shamayim. The earth don't compare to the Shamayim. Especially when you look at Yahuwah talking about the city which is being made in the Shamayim. What the glory, what's up in the Shamayim, don't compare to the earth. So being restricted to the earth, which means he's on his belly. He can't get back up there no more. And he knows that. He knows that he cannot get back up to the Shamayim. And so he's got great wrath, and he knows I only got a short time. Now, a short time to do what? He got a short time to do what? He's got short time to deceive. Remember, it says in verse 9, he's here to deceive the whole world. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil, Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. So in verse 12 here, he only has a short time to deceive, and to deceive the woman, and a short time to go after the woman. When you look at eternity, because we look at, man, this has been going on for thousands of years. But what's 1,000 years compared to eternity? Because to Abba Yahuwah, a day is as 1,000 years. So if you figure Adam, I'm not saying man because, and I don't want to go down a rabbit hole, but from Adam to where we are now is like 6,000 years. So that's only like 6 days. And remember Yahusha say he worked 6 days, 7th day he rests. And so we're coming up at that time. We're coming up that time where there's going to be rest, there's going to be peace, and there's going to be peace for 1,000 years, which is the reign of our Messiah, our King, King Yahusha. And when the dragon saw that he was cast unto the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child, or brought forth the man, which is Yahusha. He's persecuted her. And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place where she is nourished for a time and times, and half a time from the face of the serpent. So the woman, after giving the man-child, and you see 2 wings of a great eagle, and you do have the northern and the southern kingdom, and the northern kingdom was dispersed, and then the southern kingdom was dispersed, and she's gone off into the wilderness, into a place where she is nourished for a time and times, and half a time from the face of the serpent. Now, a lot of people say time, times, and a half of times 3.5 years. I don't buy that. I don't buy into a time is a year, times is 2 years, and a half a time is a half a year, and you add them all up together, that's 3.5 years. Man, that's really stretching. That's really, you're you're really pulling some things out. I mean, that, some people believe that. I don't believe it. I just think you have to take into consideration, especially when you're dealing with prophecy and you're looking towards the future, you have to understand the past. You have to look at the past, present, and the future if you want to dissect this Torah and actually glean from it. Past, present, and future. Can't just look at the past. Can't look. One thing that we have the tendency is everything that was told to us by the Roman Catholic Church, we believe. We believe their doctrine of the book. Well, they gave us the book. They must know what's going on. And so whatever they taught us down through the years, that must be true. And either when you're in Christianity, either you're a Roman Catholic Christian or you're what? A Protestant. That's it. Christianity is made up of Roman Catholic Christians and Protestants. So if you say you're a Christian, either you're a Roman Catholic or you're a Protestant. Baptist, Methodist, Episcopalian, Church of God in Christ, Apostolic, Pentecostal, all those are Protestant movements, Protestant churches, which means you're still a Christian if you're in any of those, either the Roman Catholic Church or Protestant. And that's where Christianity comes from. And we're going to be given some more information and knowledge, some nuggets that's going to really get into the origin of Christianity, which did not come from Yahushua HaMashiach. The origin of Christianity did not come from Yahushua HaMashiach. It came from what they term the post-apostolic fathers. They're the ones that constructed, built, and promulgated and pushed and conquered the world with their construct of our Messiah. And a part of that construct is embedded in Roman and Greek philosophy. It's embedded in Roman Greek philosophy, and you're going to find out that these men that built the framework of Christianity, these men hated Yasharel. They hated Yasharel. But yet, we listen to their interpretation of the Torah. We take their interpretation of it. One thing they don't believe in Yahuwah's law. They despise his law. You'll find out these men, they despise his law. And even to today, you got people that say, if I keep the Shabbat, that puts me under the law, and keeping the Shabbat is just a commandment that he gave us, which is part of the covenant. That's what it is. And so the whole people's understanding of our book is aborted because of men who have shaped and framed the belief of a lot of people today. And so there's going to be some discoveries and some things that we'll learn in the upcoming weeks. And the reason why we're going to deal with that, let me finish this and we'll go back. And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood, which the dragon cast out of his mouth. Now, what's the flood? What is he dealing with here? And a lot of this is dealing with the woman has tried to kill, or the devil has tried to kill the woman. I want to kill the woman, or I want to kill Yasharel. The flood is military, it's slavery, it's colonization, it's anything that they can to try to destroy the woman. Even in our day, look at hip hop, look at the music industry, look at entertainment, look at all that. It's there to destroy you. That's all they try to do is destroy you. I mean, and our youth, it's a shame because our youth idolizes this culture that is destroying them. But they idolize it. They want to be like it. They want the bling. They want their teeth all blinged up. they want the rappers. And they, I mean, that draws them. That music draws them. And they don't realize it's for your destruction. That's all he's trying to do is destroy you. And we try to tell our young folks, oh, just don't go down that path. Just listen to the warnings of the elders, of your fathers, your mothers, your grandparents. Listen to them that's been around for a while, that have seen a number of things. But that's what our youth is hard for them to trust us. You know, it's like, you know, they feel like, well, if I do what you do, I'm going to miss out on life. No. We're going to live life. We're just not going to live it like that. You know, there's still a lot of life to live, but you don't want to destroy yourself. And we try to tell our children, our young people, we don't want to see these children destroyed. We don't want to see the devil destroy these children. You know, that should be our intent of our hearts. It should be, hey, I don't want to see the devil destroy these children. I'm willing to put up a fight. We at least got to fight. At least got to fight some battles. You know, they don't mind me and everything. Yeah, but did you mind when you was that age? Or was you a rebel? Because some of us know now, and some of us, we get so hard, but wait a minute now, what were you? So even though we want the children to do right and we're trying to lead them in the right way, I also understand I was a child. I know what I did. So I got patience, and I got, you know, long suffering, which is supposed to be our fruit, right? That's one of our fruit, long suffering, gentleness, goodness, you know, temperance, meekness. That's just a fruit that we have to have because we got to raise these children. It's an African saying, it takes a village to raise a child. That's an old African saying. It takes a village to raise a child. Another old African saying is, when the students are ready, the teacher will appear. There's a lot of good African sayings out there that has been around for centuries, a long time. And the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed. Went to make war with the remnant of her seed. And it tells you who the remnant of her seed is, which keep the commandments of Yahuwah and have the testimony of Yahusha Hamashiach. Well, I think that's what we're trying to do, right? we're the remnant of the seed of the woman. We're keeping the commandments of Yahuwah, and we have the testimony of Yahusha Hamashiach. And so you got to fight on your hands. He's coming after you. And a lot of us, I mean, yeah, we're not old, but we're not as young as we used to be. And sometimes we just want to rest and say, whoo, hallelujah, I thank Yah. I ain't no young person no more. But we still have work to do, especially when it comes to our children and our grandchildren. Because if you leave them now, you know who's going to get them. I'm tired of them. I'm done. I'm washing my hands of it. I'm done. Well, you know who's going to get them. You know who's coming after them now. We got some. I just believe our children, our sons, our daughters, our grandchildren, they just some beautiful people. That's just me. I'm just biased. And I just think they're just beautiful people, but the devil knows it too. And that's why he'll come after them. And he's relentless. He's relentless. So we got to put up our guard with prayer and keeping it before the Most High Yah, and just praying. Well, one day, Abba Yah, they're going to be an adult, and hopefully they'll be preserved so that they can make the right decision. Don't let them be destroyed. Don't let their minds be destroyed by drugs and alcohol. Don't let their bodies be destroyed by abuse of the bodies. Don't let them do, because we're just praying that one day they'll be at that age to where they'll be making the right decisions. So we got to pray. I can't be everywhere where my kids and grandkids go. I can't. But I pray for them. Oh, y'all know them. I got some prayers going up, because I can't always be there. And that's why prayer can go where you can't. And you guys got to realize you got Abba Yah's ear now. You do have his ear. He is listening to you. And don't ever think he ain't listening. And you might get a little tired sometimes. I've been praying for years, but we don't give up. We don't give up. And then closer to the end, then you see, let's go to Daniel chapter 10 and verse, let's see. Let's start with verse 12. Then said he unto me, Fear not, Daniel, for from the first day that thou didst set thine heart to understand and to chasten thyself before thy Elohim, thy words were heard, and I am come for thy words. Now, if you go up to the beginning of this, Daniel, he sees this vision. He doesn't quite understand it. He's asking Abba Yah for an answer. I need an understanding. And he said he went on a fast, and for 21 days, nothing. And so then we get down here. Actually, we can get down here to where the angel, and you can read it in your time. But listen to verse number 13. But the prince, now this is the angel speaking to Daniel, but the prince of the kingdom of Persia, which is the Elohim over the Persian Empire, because all these other nations had their Elohim. They had their Eloah. They had their Elohim. Because when you say Elohim, you're talking about powerful ones. You're talking about more than one. When you say Elohim, you're saying more than one. When you say Eloah, that's more singular. But when you say Elohim, that's multiple ones. That's why when they say he's El Shaddai, which is only one Almighty. Only one's Almighty. Now, there might be other gods and powerful ones, but there's only one that's Almighty. And we see in Psalms 82, he says he sits in the council of all those Elohim, and he judges them. So there's only one Almighty, and we call him El Shaddai. And then we call him El Elyon, which means he's the most high one. It's not Elohim Elyon. It's El Elyon, because there's only one most high, one that's over all of them. Well, what are you saying? There's other gods. Yeah, there's other. Why would he say Elohim? Why do you use Elohim if there's not more than one? But the one that we serve, and what? So what's the first commandment? Thou shalt not what? Have no other Elohim before me. Now, why would he say that if there wasn't that? There would be no use of even having that commandment if there wasn't other Elohims. Why even have that commandment? Why, Abba Yah, would you have that commandment if there isn't any? Oh, that's because there is. That's because there is. And one of them fell. They call him Satan. One of them fell, and he took a third of the heavenly host with him. That dude was pretty bad. If you can convince a third who had their habitation in the Shamayim, I mean, they're eternal beings. We haven't got our eternalness. We're not immortal. Adam was made immortal now, but he lost that because of his disobedience. But these are eternal beings, and Satan, which was the top one in the hierarchy in the Shamayim, convinced a third of them to riot and to rebel against the Most High. Says, I will be like the Most High. And he says, no, you won't. No, you won't. That's it. And Yahusha said, I seen Satan cast from heaven like what? Lightning. Y'all know how fast lightning is. It's just a split. And when he said he's going to be like the Most High, now you didn't breached it, that you're done. He lost his estate, and he took a third of those who were with him. And so he says here, the prince of Persia withstood me 21 days. But lo, Michael, one of the chief princes, and Michael is the archangel, right? But he said he's just one of them. So we don't know how big Abba Yahuwah is. We don't know how big his creation is. We don't know much about him except for what he reveals to us. And there's a lot of things, if it's not revealed to you, then you ain't going to know. And a lot of people are afraid of what they don't know. And I guess that's kind of a human characteristic, right? I'm afraid of the unknown, But Abba Yahuwah is able to open up your understanding, right? He's able to open up your understanding. And so he says, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, and I remained there with the kings of Persia. So there was a fight going on. So a lot of times now, you could be sending prayers up to the Most High, and you might not get an answer right away, but don't give up. It's not that he didn't hear. He said, hey, the prayers got up there. We heard you. We heard them prayers. They got up there. You have the ear of the Most High Yah, and he hears your prayers. Now, he might not answer right away because he's not your genie in a bottle. I mean, you're talking about the Most High. You're talking about somebody that governs over other Elohim. And we know that Michael is the archangel, but he says he's just one of the chief ones. So Abba Yah's got, we don't know how big he is. We don't know how many angels. We don't know how many that are out there. We don't know. We can ask Abba to kind of open up that understanding that I have, because Abba Yahuwah, we're only using 1% to 2% of our brain, right? They said we don't even use 10%. If we could use 10% of our brains, you know how powerful? How powerful that would be. Can you believe that? You live all your life and you only use maybe 1% to 2% of your brain. He can unlock a lot of stuff unto us, and I think he will when you get that new body. Once we make that conversion from mortal to immortality. Because that's what Shaul said in the 15th chapter of 1 Corinthians. That's what he said. He said this mortal has to put on immortality. He said this terrestrial, we got to put on the celestial, because we're going to live forever, and I can't live forever in this present body. And just the fact that we will know even as we're known, and he's going to just open and unlock. So, that's hard to, maybe not hard, but it's just a new horizon to understand that there's just so much more for me to know, for me to learn, and just having to be immortal. And then all of that wisdom and all of that knowledge that will be imparted unto us, to where other nations are going to come to Jerusalem, like it says in Isaiah 2 and 3 and Micah 4 and 2. All these other nations are going to come to learn. They're going to come to learn. Now, y'all have heard about Enoch, right? And some of his writings and how the powerful ones and some of the things that the powerful ones were doing, unto the humans. Anybody ever read that? They were teaching them, science and astrology and mathematics and just things that are very beyond what we even know today. So once you get there, all these other nations, they're just going to keep coming. They're going to come to learn. They're coming to learn. Now, you can't teach nobody something you don't know. You don't know it, you can't teach it. So if they're coming to learn about our Abba, and we don't know how big he is, we don't know the vastness of him. I mean, it's beyond our imagination, but he's going to unlock a lot of that up to us, and we'll be able to teach it. That's going to be awesome. That's going to be awesome. It's beyond anything that we know now. It's hard for us to grasp it. And even Shaul says, in Corinthians, he says, don't y'all know you're going to judge who? Yeah. Those ones who have fallen, because it says a third. We don't know how big we don't know how big Yah and all his creation. We don't know, but a third. But he says, y'all going to be judging them. So I have to have that knowledge and that wisdom. I'm going to have more what I know now, and I don't hardly know nothing now, but it's going to be vast to where we'll be able to judge eternal beings. We can't even understand eternity because we think in a timeline, a beginning and an end. That's just how we think linear. We don't think abstract. We don't think on different levels and different dimensions. We don't think like that. We think that, well, you're born here and you die here and that. But once you get into that new body and where you inhabit eternity and never to die again, and being knowing just like Yahuwah wants you to know. I mean, just the vastness of it. It's kind of hard to grasp that in a natural man, but it's there. It's there, and we're going to those who are faithful, right, and those who keep themselves. There is a reward for us. He says, all souls are mine. Soul of the Father as well as the soul of the Son. But the soul that sinneth, it's going to, and he didn't intend for you to die. That's the thing. And that's why when I go to Father Yah, because I know, I mean, you live in eternity. You didn't make me to die. I don't know how you talk to him, but you didn't make me to die. I was created in your image and in your likeness. And Adam was immortal until he disobeyed. So there's things that's waiting for us. But if you're going to be like Adam and be disobedient, yes. Right. Yeah, and I think and it says that she ate of it, but then she gave to her husband, her Isha. No, her Ish. She gave to her Ish, and he ate of it. Then it said the understanding came upon him because the command was given to Adam and not his Isha. So she ate of it, but then when she gave to her Ish and he ate, then their understanding was open. They begin to learn because they ate of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. So they begin to learn, and they learned that they could actually disobey Yah because they actually did it. So good and evil, Yah created evil, but now they can understand, oh, I can be like Yah. I know good and evil because before they just did everything that they're supposed to do. There was no rebellion. So once they began to eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, Oh, this is how God thinks. This is how Yah looks at things. Ah, well, I better put something on. I better cover. I'm trying to cover myself, you know, because now I got an understanding now. You know, I think there's some very deep meanings, and I don't take everything literal in the Garden of Eden with Adam and Eve. I don't take everything literal. So I think there's a lot of deep meanings, and you have to think in dimensions to get a better understanding of Adam and Eve. And I don't think, well, I just think there's more to it than what we just open up the book and read, because there's a lot of things in His Word is dimensional, and a lot of His prophetic word. You know, you have to understand the past, present, and try to understand the future. You know, especially when you get into His prophetic word. So, yeah. What was your question again? Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. They were immortal beings, but through their disobedience, they became mortal. Yeah, yeah. Because they had a body fashioned like ours, but there was no death in the body, which puts you in a different dimension. Because there was actually a dimension where they could not die because they were immortal. But once they disobeyed, then that put them into another. That took them out of the dimension of immortality and put them into a dimension of being more just pure mortals. You know, because everything that Yah created, if you look at all of His angels and everything, they don't die. They don't. He didn't create them to die. And Adam was created in His image. I can't be in the image of Yahuwah and then die. You're not in His image. You know, we're trying to be in the image of Him by being obedient unto His Torah. But when we're actually the sons of Yahuwah, to where we pass from death unto life, that's the ultimate image of Yahuwah, because you'll never die again. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that's in Acts, or I'm sorry, not Acts, Psalms 82. Psalms 82, and I'm gonna start at verse number 1. This is a psalm of Asaph, or a song. Uh, El, this is, it says God Elohim, but it's actually Eloah, or El Elyon, standeth in the congregation of the mighty. He judgeth among the Elohim. How long will ye judge unjustly and accept the persons of the wicked? Now he's talking to these Elohims now. They were doing unjustly, and they were accepting the persons of the wicked. So these Elohims love wickedness. And you can really see it. You see a lot of things that happen in our culture and around the world. You got some folks, man, they love wickedness. Man, they attracted to it. They lust after it. It says, defend the poor and fatherless, do justice to the afflicted and needy, deliver the poor and needy, rid them out of the hand of the wicked. So this is what they were failing to do, as He gave them authority over other nations and things like that. Because you have to remember, He gave authority to these people over other nations, but He says, Yasharel is going to be mine. You know, in Deuteronomy, the 32nd chapter. Let's come right back here, okay? Deuteronomy chapter 30. Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse number 7. And this is the King James, but I kind of like to, I'm going to look at the English Standard Version. I mean, even when we go to Psalms 82, because it just reads different, because the English Standard Version takes into account the Dead Sea Scrolls along with the Masoretic text. So they use the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Masoretic text. The King James uses the Latin Vulgate and the, I think they use the Greek, right? The Greek manuscripts and the Latin Vulgate, and that's how you get the King James. The English Standard Version uses the Masoretic text, which is written in the 2nd and 3rd century, and also the Dead Sea Scrolls. Now, y'all do know they haven't given us all the Dead Sea Scrolls, but what they did allow, out there, the Dead Sea Scrolls. So that's what the English Standard Version uses. The Dead Sea Scrolls, the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls, and the Masoretic text. Yes? Yeah. I mean, the general theme is not lost. There is a general theme of all the scriptures, but the English Standard Version words it a little differently in certain things. Like we'll show you here. Okay, I'll show you here. Deuteronomy 32 and 7. Remember the days of old, consider the years of many generations. Ask thy father, and he will show thee thy elders, and they will tell thee. When the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Yasharel. For Yahuwah's portion is his people. Jacob is a lot of his inheritance. So when he set the table of the nations, and we see that in Genesis chapter 10, he let these other Elohim have these other nations, but he said, Yasharel is going to be mine. Out of all these nations, because if you look at Genesis chapter 10, there's 70 different nations that comes out of there. And so he gave, he says, y'all can have these nations, but Yasharel's mine. Yasharel's mine. And that's why he tells Yasharel, the very first commandment is, thou shalt not have no other Elohim before me. Baal, Dagon, Chemosh, ISIS, all the other, that's their, don't you bring them before me. I'm yours. You don't bring none of that before me. And then you see, because of the Roman construct of Christianity, they bring in these different gods in their holidays. And being a Christian, well, you just keep it. You keep Christmas, you keep Easter, you keep, you keep all these, Valentine's Day, you keep all these, Halloween, which are their, and he says, hey, as far as my people, y'all better not bring none of that before me. But they do it anyway. So this is the King James Version, and this was written before they found the Dead Sea Scrolls. So I want to go to the English Standard Version, ESV, the English Standard Version. If you could pull that up there. This is Deuteronomy 32 and 7. Remember the days of old, consider the years of many generations. Ask your father, and he will show you your elders, and they will tell you. When the Most High gave to the nations their inheritance, when he divided mankind, he fixed the borders of the peoples according to the number of the sons of Elohim. See that? So all those other nations, he says, according to the sons of Elohim. But Yahuwah's portion is his people. Jacob, his allotted heritage. So when he and he divided mankind in Genesis chapter 10, that's when he put up all these. So when you go to, first, do you see how that reads a little different, the English Standard Version from the King James? Because it's just the same thing. I mean, it's there, but there's just some things that are worded different because in verse number 8 especially, if you look at verse number 8 in the English Standard Version, according to the number of the sons of Elohim or sons of Eloah, right? And then if you look at the King James, when the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. That's worded really different, because at the time in Genesis chapter 10, you didn't have Abraham, Isaac, or Jacob. And Israel comes from Jacob. He changed Jacob's name from Jacob to Yasharel, which is Prince of Yah. He changed his name. So how could it be he set the bounds or he divided the nations according to the children of Yasharel when they weren't even a nation yet? So that's why not exactly. Yes. Those are Acts or Psalms 82. Here's the sons of Elohim. Psalms 82. Yahuwah or Eloah standeth in the congregation of the mighty. He judgeth among the Elohims. So here you're talking about the sons of Yahuwah. The sons of Yahuwah are the Elohim. How long will ye judge unjustly and accept the persons of the wicked? Defend the poor and fatherless. Do justice to the afflicted and needy. Deliver the poor and needy. Rid them out of the hand of the wicked. They know not, neither will they understand. They walk on in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are out of course. I have said, ye are Elohim, and all of you are the children of the Most High. So when he says that he sets the boundaries or according to the sons of Elohim, this is who because he sits in the council of the gods. All of the gods comes to the Most High. And he's over all of them. He's over all of them. Satan is a fallen one, but he is the God of this world. And he has a lot of those who follow with him. Even when Yahusha came, they seen Yahusha and said, we know who you are. We know who you are. And these were some of the ones that fell with Satan. Satan is a god of this world. There's other gods. But all of them are the sons of Yahweh. And the reason why he says sons is because he created them. He created all of them. They're his sons. Some people say, Yah don't know evil. He created evil. What do you mean? He created good. He created evil. There's nothing here that Yah didn't create. You mean all this wickedness? Yeah, I mean, he put authority over these nations. And we see how they turn out. But he said, Yasharel, now that's mine. So Yasharel is blessed because they got the Most High. And the thing about it is, all these other nations who had these other Elohim, they're going to come to us. And they got to learn of us. And they're going to, because it says that, right? And I want to get Isaiah 2 and 3 and Micah 4 and 2. It says that they're going to come and they're going to learn all the other nations. Because Yahuwah and his people are going to conquer the world. Right now, his people are scattered. They're all over. Yasharel is not a nation. They're a scattered people. But the time, and this is where we are in prophecy, is because he's about to gather Yasharel. But this is what you was talking about. I have said, ye are Elohim, and all of you are the children of the Most High. So when you ask the question, who's the sons of that's who he's talking about. Mm-hmm. But ye shall die like men, because they're eternal beings, but they're going to die. And the way they're going to die is in the lake of fire. But ye shall die like men and fall like one of the princes. Arise, O Yahuwah, judge the earth, for thou shalt inherit what? All of them coming under him. So he gave all these nations, and he gave gods over them and everything, but he said, Yasharel, that's mine. I got Yasharel. Y'all didn't do right. Y'all messed up. You did all this. You're going to die like men. You're going to the lake of fire. Now, all these nations that I put you over, they're all coming under me. That's how it's going to end up, because they're all coming unto the Most High Yah. Now, he's given us right now, Yasharel should be more powerful than what they really are, but mainly because they're scattered. See, nobody listens to us. Nobody listens. Listen, y'all, I ain't coming to y'all. What y'all got? I mean, y'all are the last one on the totem pole. Why we want to listen to y'all? You ain't even got a nation. You don't even have a place. Y'all all over the earth. That's what we are now, but that's not how it's going to end up. You know, so he's going to gather his people. And there's a lot of things that's going to happen in the gathering. And this is why we are at a very prophetic time. We're at a very prophetic time because we're about to see something that was greater than when the children of Israel came out of Egypt. When the children of Israel came out of Egypt, it was a nation born out of a nation. But what he's getting ready to do, and it says it in Isaiah, I think the 65th, 66th chapter, the question is asked, can a nation be born? Anybody know what? At once? You mean, boom, just like that, all of a sudden? I mean, today we're scattered all over. Tomorrow we're a nation. It says, can a nation be born at once? That's incredible. And it's going to be so dramatic because Yasharel came out of Egypt, which was just one geographical location, Egypt. But this time, Yasharel is coming out of all nations around the world. All nations. He's gathering them from all nations, and he's going to make a nation out of them, and it's going to happen all at once. And it's going to be so spectacular and so glorious that everybody's going to forget about Moses coming out of Egypt. They're going to remember Yasharel being gathered from the four corners. Because that's what Yahusha said. In Matthew 24 and 24, 30, and 31. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man, Yahusha, in Shamaim. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn. And they shall see Yahusha, the Son of Man, or the Ben Adam. That's his humanity. They're going to see him coming in the clouds of Shamaim with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet. And remember the parable of the tares and the wheat and the tares. Remember that parable. He shall send his angels with the great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four corners, from one end of the Shamaim to the other. And this is the great event that is not too far off. We're not too far away from this, but there's some things that's got to happen. It talks about verse 29, immediately after the tribulation, and we're going through the tribulation now. I think we're going to see it now. I don't know if you keep up with the financial news and things like that, but they've been prepping us for some time now. They've been prepping us with a card and a chip on the card. Because remember when we first got credit cards, there was no chip on the credit card. You just had the credit card. Then they put chips on the credit card. They put chips on the debit card. They went to putting everything electronically in your device. They did that to where you can do all your financial transactions and everything on your device. I don't even know if our kids, have they even seen a check? Because we used to do the check all the time. Check? What's a check? Check what? Yeah, just write a check. Yeah. Yeah, because when our kids was young, it was like, because We can't, can't go to. We want to go to the store and everything. No, we can't go to the store. We ain't got no money. Well, use your debit card. That's what they would say. Use your card. You ain't got no money. Just use your card. But they made it easy. Then they put it in your device, and now they're getting ready to go to the next generation of financing. And that next generation of financing, they're going to have so much control over all. You can't stop it. It's happening. It's happening. They're getting into digital currency, digital wallet. Everything is going to be digitalized. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Credit. Yeah. And that's why a lot of businesses are doing. They're just doing away with cash. It's You can go to a lot of places and you can go on vacations and places like that. They don't deal with cash. They don't, nope. Electronic card, phone, something. But we don't take cash. We don't deal with cash. So they've been preparing us for this, and so what backs, and so they're working things out now. I don't know if President Trump just signed the Genius Act. Yeah, anybody hear about that? It's all over the financial news. The Genius Act, and he's bringing in blockchain. He's bringing in the stable coin, and a stable coin. You'll see stable coins. You'll see the United States digital currency will be a stable coin. You'll see your favorite place, Walmart, will have a stable coin. So you'll have to, when you do your transactions with Walmart, they'll ask you, because even now, like when you go to some of these places, do you have a card with us, or do you have a card? Or they ask you, are you going to use your, card day or something like that? When you go through McDonald's drive-thru, are you using your, what do they call it, something? Your rewards, something. They want to know, what's your number? Are you using that? And so everything is going to be digitalized, and everything is going on the blockchain. And so the first thing you're going to see is stable coins, which means like Walmart will have one. Wherever you bank, whatever your bank is, they'll have one. Uh, your employers, you'll get paid. It'll just go right to a digital account. You'll get so many digital, credits and stuff like that. All of that, they're setting all that up. They're setting all that up. And so it's we're moving into a day where they're going to be able to have so much more control over you. They're going to have so much control, because then it's going to get to the point where let's make this even easier, because you might lose your device. Let's put it somewhere where we don't have to worry about you losing your card or your device. Somebody might steal your phone. So let's put it in the web of your hand. There's people who already done it. They have little chips here. You can go through Whole Foods, and if it's biometric, and if you have a chip, you just do like this and scan it, and to have it up here. That's where we're going. So we're not too far off. We're not too far off. And they do have an agenda to have this stuff implemented. They've got their dates set up when they're going to have all this stuff implemented. And they're trying to figure out, how do we make this final transition going to digital currency? How do we make that final transition? And so you do have opposing forces that are against it, and they're going to fight against it for a while, but eventually they're going to succumb to it. Watch the price of gold, which is going crazy, and the price of silver. And I bought my first amount of silver in October, November 2023, and it was trading for $23 an ounce. Now it's trading $39 an ounce. And so silver is going up. Gold is $3,400 for an ounce of gold. 3,300 maybe. I got the app right here. I just kind of follow it. so I can get the price. I can get the price of it right now. But these things are happening, and you can't stop it. So gold traded today for $3,403 for an ounce of gold, and silver's at $39.43 for an ounce. I mean, an ounce of gold. So that is going up. But we were trying to tell y'all years ago. Let me see if I can find this. Because we was trying to tell y'all years ago. If you look at our national debt, I thought I had it on here. I guess I don't. But you can call up and there's an app that shows the national debt, and I kind of watch that too, mainly because it gives you. This is the debt clock. I know I don't have it. I thought I had it on that computer, but I don't have it. But this is the debt clock, and oh, get out of here! I can't. For some reason, it won't let me show it now. The national debt. But I go on here sometimes because it shows you what the projected ounce of gold is going to be and what the projected ounce of silver is going to be trading for. I don't see it now. But anyway, let's see if I can find it here. The dollar to silver ratio, and this is a 5-year projection. And then it gives a 10-year projection. But a 5-year projection, dollar to silver ratio in 5 years will probably be trading for $1,557 an ounce. That's the 5-year projection and that's on the U.S. debt clock. If you can, there's a app you can get that shows the debt clock. It's got all kind of data. Have you seen it before? It's got. Oh yeah, and they said that there's going to be a shortage on silver, which is really going to drive up the price because they use silver a lot for especially in. Who said that? Okay. Yeah. And our Messiah was sold for 30 pieces of silver. I mean, there's a lot of silver in the Bible. It does talk a lot about silver and gold, So those are that's, this, I'm not a financial advisor, but I just think you have to be balanced in your asset collection. And, I think precious metals is a part of it. Just kind of be balanced with that, balanced with, cash, because I still think there'll be some use for cash. I thought cash was going away. Y'all seen that movie, Leave This World Behind? Did y'all see the movie You Leave This World Behind? You ain't never seen it? Y'all never seen it? You guys got to watch that movie. Watch that movie, Leave This World Behind. It's a Barack Obama production. Barack and yeah. What's his wife's name? Barack and Michelle Obama production. They put on Leave This World Behind. Yeah. But there's a scene in there where it's dealing with cash, even though cash didn't mean anything. But there's a scene in there. You've seen it, right? There's a scene in there where it was a good thing it had some cash, you know. So you just want to be balanced in your asset collection and make sure you get because things are about turning. All right, our time is up. Any questions, comments out there? Anybody got anything they want to ask? Questions or comments? We're on the verge of prophecy being fulfilled, and so everybody should be making their calling and election sure. Because some of this stuff starts to happen, Yahusha said many men's heart is going to fail them for fear. Once they start seeing this, there's no pre-tribulation rapture. There is no pre-tribulation rapture. That is not. Yahusha even told us in the parable of the tares and the wheat. The first ones leaving are going to be the tares. So if people saying, I'm getting up out of here, I ain't going to be here for no tribulation, that means you're a tare. It just means you're a tare. Because he said, I'm going to collect the tares first, then my angel's going to collect his wheat. And so it's the tares get out of here first, but we're going to be gathered together to go meet the king. Go meet the king. He going to plead with you face to face, which means you got to give an account. That pleading, he ain't begging. When it says, I'm going to plead with you face to face, that ain't begging. That's where you got to meet your maker. You got to give an account. We all have to give an account for ourselves. And so what you going to say to him? When you look into his eyes, it said his eyes are like a flame of fire. What you going to say? Because he's going to read your heart. Y'all know how computers are. We got them computers where it's read only, and you can read it. They try to, he gonna read your heart. He gonna know everything. He says every idle word is gonna be brought back. So that day's coming. That day's coming. So we got to prepare ourselves, and we're these children. We're gonna try to protect our children because there's going to be a lot of death and destruction. But there's going to be people that's going to make it. Got people that's going to make it. There is going to be a lot of death and destruction, but there's going to be people that's going to make it. So we want to make sure we protect our children, our grands, great-grands, and how many greats you got. All right. Any questions or comments? If not, then we're going to say, I'll say shalom to you. Thank you for coming in to this Torah study on tonight, and we'll be back on the Shabbat.